When a patient presents with rising blood pressure or spiking triglycerides, standard clinical practice often treats these as isolated cardiovascular risk factors. But these are rarely independent issues. They are integrated symptoms of a single systemic failure, known as metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome represents a breakdown of systemic homeostasis. It is a dual pathology, driven simultaneously by severe dietary disruption and a chronically misaligned biological clock. This condition accelerates cellular aging. Once it takes hold, it aggressively shifts a patient's long-term trajectory toward cardiovascular mortality. Effectively treating it requires moving past generic advice to simply eat better and exercise. It demands rigorous diagnostic tracking and targeted biological management. The epidemiological scale of this failure is staggering. Right now, approximately 1/4 of all adults in the United States are living with metabolic syndrome. Data from the third National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey translates that percentage into nearly 47 million people, cementing this as a population-level clinical crisis. The prevalence climbs sharply as patients age, eventually exceeding 40% in older adult demographics. When epidemiologists analyze this data, traditional, isolated risk factors alone cannot mathematically account for the severe volume of morbidity seen in these patient populations. This overwhelming volume of patients renders ad hoc, passive clinical advice obsolete. It demands a unified, evidence-based treatment framework. For years, diagnosing metabolic syndrome was complicated by competing clinical frameworks published by different global health organizations. This comparison table charts 3 main clinical guidelines: the World Health Organization, the NCEP ATP3, and the International Diabetes Federation. Under NCEP ATP3 criteria, diagnosis requires the presence of any 3 of 5 specific features, prominently including elevated triglycerides and low HDL cholesterol. The IDF model introduces a structural shift. It mandates central obesity as an absolute prerequisite before a positive diagnosis can even be considered. Across these newer models, waist circumference completely replaces body mass index as the superior independent indicator of abdominal obesity. Noticeably, impaired fasting glucose is actually a lagging indicator. It presents initially in only a small fraction of metabolic syndrome patients. Therefore, detecting central obesity and atherogenic dyslipidemia is the primary priority for intervention before irreversible cardiovascular damage occurs. Once a positive diagnosis is established, that cluster of symptoms translates directly into hard statistical probabilities of mortality over a specific timeframe. This diagram illustrates how we quantify danger by merging the Framingham risk score, which calculates the 10-year probability of a hard coronary heart disease endpoint, with comprehensive data from the GAMI meta-analysis. Reviewing the GAMI data, tracking over 170,000 individuals, metabolic syndrome multiplies a patient's relative risk of cardiovascular events by 1.78. Digging deeper into this chart reveals a stark gender disparity. The relative risk association is significantly stronger in women. Specifically, women with the syndrome face a relative risk of 2.63, compared to 1.98 in men. What makes these numbers particularly alarming is that the risk multipliers remain significant even after adjusting for traditional cardiovascular risk factors. A diagnosis of metabolic syndrome indicates the patient has left the low-risk general population and is on a path where pathology drives aggressively towards a cardiovascular. And how to treat this? We have to look beneath the clinical statistics to the underlying cellular pathophysiology governing metabolic repair. This conceptual model highlights the suprachiasmatic nucleus, acting as the master clock in the brain and governing the body's strict 24-hour circadian rhythm. This master clock synchronizes secondary peripheral clocks in the liver, heart, and muscles to strictly regulate insulin release and blood sugar clearance. During sleep, this synchronization triggers vital nighttime cellular maintenance phases. This includes active DNA repair, growth hormone release, and the brain's glymphatic waste clearance system. But here is what exactly happens at the microscopic level when those rhythms are chronically disrupted. Modern behavioral habits, like late-night blue light exposure, erratic sleep schedules, and late eating, effectively desynchronize the peripheral organ clocks from the master clock. This specific chronobiological misalignment induces low-grade inflammation and cellular insulin resistance. Poor sleep hygiene directly fuels the biological engine of metabolic syndrome. The standard frontline clinical response to this biological breakdown is to prescribe therapeutic lifestyle changes and the Mediterranean diet. These nutritional targets are well defined: consume high amounts of unsaturated fats, drastically lower saturated fat intake, and heavily increase soluble fiber. The physiological goal behind these guidelines is to achieve a 500 to 1,000 daily calorie deficit, aimed at forcing a 7 to 10% reduction in overall body weight. However, this line graph plotting patient weight loss over a 12-month period reveals the harsh clinical reality of prescribing these diets. It is based on comprehensive Franz and Danziger meta-analyses. Under standard doctor advice, we typically see a steep initial drop in patient weight, maximizing right at the 6-month mark, but that drop is followed by a predictable plateau and a definitive upward trend, indicating significant weight regain across most study participants. Passive advice to simply eat better frequently fails over the long term, leaving patients continuously exposed to cardiovascular risk. To prevent this weight regain and reverse the trend seen in the meta-analysis, clinical intervention must be intensive, structured, and continuous. This bar chart compares the lipid reduction outcomes between intensive dietitian-led counseling and standard passive doctor advice, using data from a recent Cochrane review. The data proves that greater reductions in both blood cholesterol and body weight are achieved through sustained one-on-one dietitian contact. Precise nutrition is only half the requirement. It also demands the strict behavioral prerequisite of sleep hygiene to repair underlying insulin sensitivity. This means deploying specific clinical sleep protocols, manipulating core body temperature via evening baths, enforcing strict stimulus control in the bedroom, and utilizing immediate morning light exposure to mechanically reset the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Clinical efficacy in reversing atherogenic dyslipidemia is tied to the aggressive deployment of these synchronized nutritional and circadian protocols. When we synthesize this biological pathology with clinical intervention data, we construct a cohesive, layered preventative care strategy. The Mayo Clinic's asymptomatic adult screening schedule serves as a baseline for intercepting this metabolic risk. Mapping the Mayo Clinic checkpoints against the rising curve of metabolic risk, we plot early interventions: lipid screening at age 20 and diabetes screening by 45. We then overlay where circadian and nutritional therapies must deploy upon the first detection of central obesity. True preventative medicine depends on catching these lagging indicators early, before they trigger a hard cardiovascular endpoint. Effective management of metabolic syndrome requires a pivot in medical philosophy, prioritizing the preservation of cellular function through uncompromising, evidence-based intervention.